In a mysterious land crowned by a mosaic of medieval mountainside villages, from high atop their ledges and deep inside these hidden caverns, the story and largely secret sensation of what's whispered as the Holy Valley unfolds before your eyes, a sanctuary of nature imprinted with the footprints of a saint named Francis.
Allow me to take you into, I think, one of the most special treasures in Italy. Come this way. This is actually the path that leads to a place that was so treasured by St. Francis when he was a young priest.
It's a path that winds its way through the heart of Italy, revealing the fingerprint of a saint whose life was committed to tending to the poor, and who was so beloved by a new pope, he took his name and seems to be picking up where St. Francis left off. This is the story of Francesco, the saint, the pope, and the sacred cross that brought us together. Our journey begins in Rieti, where as a young monk, St. Francis came to pray and find answers in the timeless simplicity of beauty that abounds.
Look at the majesty. These are the very trees, the forest that inspired him, that he talked about, sister sun, brother moon. He looked at everything as nature, as a reflection of God and as a reflection of his own soul. He would come down here, especially in the winter months when it was cool, because he suffered greatly with his eyes. And the coolness of being on top of the forest was so healing to him, and also to be in the special cave that we're going to go into.
To go deeper into silence, he entered the mountain, finding respite in the cave.
And now we come to what I think is the epicenter of this spiritual sanctuary. Not a lot of people know about it, but it is a place that has a mystical feeling to it. This is actually the cave where Francis would come to meditate, to reflect, to think about all the messages that he believed that he had been given, which is why he wrote the rule, which is the basic of the rules that the Franciscans follow today. But this for him was a very sacred space where he would write, where he would think, and where he would meditate.
A sliver into the side of a mountain, a window into a saint's soul.
It's such a special place, and whenever I come here, I get to be here alone. Not that many people know about it. Of course, many travel to Assisi, which is an amazing place where Francis was as a young boy, but this is where he came, and it said that he would stay here in the dark against the mountain, against the stone, and that this just healed his soul along with his eyes that hurt him. So this was the place that he just had calm and quiet and silence.
A world away from the one he left behind, Francis immersed himself in the richness of nature to shun materialism and elitism. Like Pope Francis, he devoted his life bringing voice to the needs of the poor, even though he grew up with more wealth than most could imagine.
He was considered one of the best-looking sons of the richest man in the town here. In fact, he was born, his name was John, but his father decided to change his name to Francesco to commemorate his very successful business arrangement with France, a place from which he made all his money. Money that Francis ultimately denounced.
Like Pope Francis, the young Francis shunned the ornateness of grand cathedrals and preferred to pray in nature and simple chapels.
This, for me, is one of the most sacred spots in this area. This is where Francis used to like to come and pray. In fact, it was his favorite, most humble chapel, the chapel that commemorates Mary Magdalene. Come inside.
Francis's dream, similar to that of the popes, was to rebuild the Catholic Church in the reflection of humility. Even his preferred cross was simple.
This T, it is said, is actually the signature per se of Francis. He signed his signature with the T, which stands for the Tau, the Tau. If you think and look to the Franciscan monks, and you look at the robes that they wear when they put their arms out, it's the T. And it's called the Tau cross. The Tau, that is how he identified himself. And it is the Tau that I was wearing in Rome when I had the opportunity to meet Papa Francesco. He held it and we talked about St. Francis.
It was in St. Peter's Square when I came face to face with the Pope whose election I had covered, when he joyfully spied St. Francis's signature, the Tau cross, around my neck. He held it like a precious gem as I told him about my journeys to the Saint's Cave and how this cross was carved from the very beech trees Francis loved to gaze upon. The Pope's generosity of spirit, the delight of discussing St. Francis with Pope Francis, left me speechless.
Many people often ask me about my wearing this towel. So when I come here into the cave, I actually bring some others with me just to be a part of this nature, the energy that exists here, so that when I go back home and am able to give these to folks, they know they really were here and have absorbed the energy of this very sacred space. And incredibly, even though this place was so special to Francis, so few people in the world know about it. And yet once you're here, you'll see you always want to come back.